Hi everyone, welcome to the next diecast. Today I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Mercedes Benz CLS class made by Maisto. This is based off of the 2006 Mercedes Benz CLS 500. This car is considered to be the first four-door coupe, and Mercedes released the real car in 2004 as a 2005 model. And this first generation of the car was built from 2004 until 2010, but in America we got this actually until 2011. And the second generation was built from 2012 to 18, and they actually just released the third generation of the CLS last year for the 2019 model year. And this is one of my favorite sedans. It really does look amazing at every angle. And Maisto did a really amazing job at representing this car in their model lineup. This is, I would say, one of the best Maisto models that's been made in the last 10, 15 or so years. Maisto actually discontinued this model in 2016. When their catalog came out that year, it wasn't in it anymore in the spring of 2016. I actually got this for Christmas in 2016, so shortly after it was discontinued. And my parents, I believe, mentioned that this was the last one that was on the website that they got it from. After that, it just disappeared because Maisto discontinued it. And I believe that was kind of a stupid move on their part, because this really is an amazing model, and it's astounding in terms of detail, especially for like a $30 car. So without further ado, let me get into the review here. We'll start off with the front. We'll begin with the headlights. The headlights look pretty good, except for the fact that there is this kind of gap here in between the lens and the metal where the hood is. The bulbs do look nice though on either side of the lights. There are a couple small pegs, but honestly you can hardly tell that they're there, especially when you kind of zoom out like that. You can barely tell that they're there. The lenses are nice and thick. They're nice and sturdy. They don't move when you put your finger on them. The center grille here and the center badge, they're really nicely done. This grille is actually a true grille, as in you can see into the engine and the radiator. A lot of times Maisto will just have like a solid piece for a grille, but on this model they actually went to the extra step and put in like a real grille, which is a really cool touch. This badge up here is unfortunately just a sticker. It still looks okay though. It's not crooked or anything, but I wish it was like an actual badge or painted on. These lower grills down here, they're just a solid material. They aren't like mesh or anything. The fog lights though, I love how they did those as separate pieces. They look like they're true fog light bulbs. A lot of times they'll just paint those on, but on this model they Maisto went the extra mile and put those on as separate pieces. Moving along to the side, we'll take a look at the wheels. Maisto did a great job with replicating the wheels. On older versions of this model, you will get Dunlop tires because this was made after Maisto, I guess, ceased their contracts with like Dunlop and Bridgestone tires. They just put regular tires on. And the brake disc doesn't move with the wheel. It stays stationary, but it does look good. And they did put some nice detailing on the caliper. You can see it says Mercedes Benz on it, as it does back here as well. Paint quality, I would say, is flawless. Maisto really nailed this like dark charcoal gray color. It has kind of like a metallic sparkle to it as well, which makes it look like a real real car. If you take a picture of it like outside, it just looks amazing. This model, when it was still being produced, it came in this color, the dark charcoal gray, as well as a dark blue with a red interior and a black as well. But I think this is actually the best color that this model came in. It kind of has like a bluish hue to it as well, which looks amazing, especially when it's in certain light. Let's move on to the back. We'll take a look at the taillights. They look okay, except for the fact that there's a giant peg in each one, which looks a bit odd and kind of bad. It kind of detracts from the realism, but it is a Maisto, and this is probably one of the few flaws that this model has. And it's probably the only flaw. This Mercedes logo back here, it's painted on. You don't get like a CLS 500 or CLS 550. I guess it's just kind of like a generic CLS class model. They put in a German license plate. S means that this is from Stuttgart, which is where this car was actually built and is still being built. Exhaust pipes look pretty good. They are chrome, but Maisto did paint the insides black to make it look like they're actually hollowed out, which is a nice touch. So let's move along to opening features. And one really amazing thing about this model is that, unlike most Maisto models of sedans or SUVs, this one actually includes all 4 opening doors. And that really is amazing to see that. As of this year, 2019, Maisto doesn't have any more models in their catalog that have 4 opening doors. They have a couple of SUVs left, but their back doors don't open. It's just amazing that they included this on this model. And it really does, and you can really see like the amazing detail of the interior once all 4 doors are opened. But before we get onto the interior, let's get to the boring stuff. We'll take a look at the trunk. It's a very heavy opening trunk door. Not much to see in the trunk here. It's not carpeted or anything. It does have a kind of a roughish texture of plastic. And the trunk does actually go all the way back to where the back seat would be. Maisto usually doesn't put in, like a lot of times their trunk will just kind of stop with like a straight piece of plastic, but this one they actually put in like the wheel arches and everything. And that's really cool that they went to that extra detail. Let's go ahead and close that up. We'll take a look at the engine. Just get this open. Not really too much to see in the engine here in terms of detail. It's just kind of one plastic mold, and it does move a slight bit when you put your finger on it. They did put Mercedes Benz here and kind of raised up plastic, which is nice, and there are a few like little labels, like warning labels and whatnot. And this is actually just a sticker. Oh, I'm sorry, it's painted on here, this badge. There is some detail, but not, it's just kind of standard for Maisto to have this kind of like one mold of an engine for their newer models, which is a bit disappointing, but most times you're not going to have the hood open to see that. On the other hand, though, the underside of the hood does have a plastic liner. A lot of times they'll just leave the hoods as like bare metal on the undersides, but on this one, Maisto actually put in a plastic liner, which is really cool to see. We'll close that up, and we'll move on to this amazing interior. It really is just stunning how they replicated this. These are probably the best seats I've seen on any Maisto model. I mean, like the detailing, it looks and feels like legit leather. It honestly does. Looks like somebody sat in the seat and had just gotten out of the car. All the creases and wrinkles are in there. It just looks amazing. The seat belts have a nice vinyl pattern to them. And like the seats are done in the proper shape and everything. It's just incredible the amount of detail that they put into this. And the back seats especially too. It looks like an executive car. It is an executive car. And they really made this interior stand out among their other models, Maisto. And it makes it that much sadder that they discontinued this particular model. On the center stack, all the buttons are painted on. They're all labeled. The wood grain is replicated very, very well. They have the GPS screen turned off, it looks like, but at least it's still there, and it does look really good. All the vents are painted black. They put in a little bit of detail on the shifter there, but it's not really... They could have used a little bit more detail there. It has like a weird shape to it. The door panels, they have a nice leather pattern to them. That you can see that Maisto put in the little black seat adjustment switches and whatnot. And even back here, you can see that they put in this little console, which also has buttons that are labeled on it. It's just incredible the amount of detail that Maisto put into this interior, and I'm very pleased that they did that. Moving along to this side, detail on the steering wheel is excellent as well. You can see that they have the SRS airbag logo and little horn symbols and the Mercedes Benz symbol too. It just looks amazing. And the wood grain, I would say they definitely nailed. Granted, it is a little bit applied like sloppily on the lower part of the steering wheel here. But other than that, that's really the only gripe I have. Even the controls on the other side of the steering wheel that you can barely see from a distance, they're actually labeled too. Just incredible detailing. You can see that there's a Mercedes Benz inscription down here. This is just a sticker, by the way, down here in the door sill, but at least they put it in. I mean, it's just incredible. Incredibly detailed in interior, especially for a $30 car. Some versions of this model, you will get a back window, but I think on newer releases of the model, they took it out just so it's easier to open up the door. Although it kind of detracts, like there should be a small window back here, but at least it makes it easier to open the door. So I would say that that really isn't a valid criticism. But I mean, wow, I could look at this interior all day and show you it all day. It's just that much detailed. And they even put in a headliner up top there. They didn't just leave it as bare metal. 9 times out of 10 Maisto models, they don't put in a headliner. They just have the interior roof as like bare metal. But this one, they put in that extra headliner. That's just amazing to see that. Maisto really went the extra mile with this model, and that's really awesome. I think their Mercedes Benz models are some of their best offerings that they have. And it's a shame to see that they actually trimmed out a lot of their Mercedes Benz models for 2018 and 19. Last but not least, we'll go and look at the undercarriage. Even the undercarriage is fairly well detailed. They did make the exhaust system in chrome, but that's kind of standard practice for Maisto. They did actually paint the heat shield silver, which they don't usually do, and it looks awesome. I'm glad that they added that detail there. Let's see, I forgot to mention that you do get full steering with this model as well as full suspension. Kind of standard for Maisto. But the verdict is that Maisto went above and beyond with this model. And if you can find it for a decent price, especially if it's, $30, which was how much it cost when it was still being made, I would highly recommend adding it to your collection, especially because it compares the details of, Welly and Noref just without carpeting. It's just a very solid effort from Maisto, and I would definitely recommend getting it. All right, well, thank you for watching. I hope this helps, and until next time, thank you for watching.